lecture theater Ooze. The final grind. And also my dramatic reading of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Go figure. Anyway. I am 8 million away from moving on to the fourth stage of the Christmas Carol. And being able 9 levels to max. Who joined me for the last one, stuck around the entire time. Whoever that was, you're a badass. Hopefully I will find similar company soon into this one. Or new company. Who knows? Or a nocturnal lot, so we don't know. We're at 11 levels to go. And we'll be banking the next 2 when we are at 8 million. So until then, things are going to be kind of chill and quiet. Because I mostly want to save my voice for the reading. Although there's not as much now. We got 30 pages. Hey, thanks for coming aboard, whoever. If you're the same individual, if you're a new person, welcome to lecture. In a minute, I will be banking 2 levels and reading the next part of the 4th stave of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. So I figured I'd do something weird if I went out for finishing up, even if it took me longer. But this means you get the dulcet sound of lecture. Ja. Oh man. Alright. Yep, 11 levels to go. And you will see them here tonight. Or because if you fall asleep watching this, you're only human. But in point of fact, 2.5 million will put me at 10 levels from the end. I will simply not be banking or reading at that point. But the levels are occurring at every 4 million. We need 11 more, there we go. all that bad. It can be done. It will be done. I will do it successfully. I'm here to do it. Well, I mean, besides turning in my novel and stuff, which I'm gonna be pretty much at tomorrow. Enjoyed reading Christmas Carol tonight. It's a great book. And it puts me in touch with, like, what I actually feel about the season. And it is idealistic. And it is idealistic, but I have an idealistic streak. I believe we require better spaces to celebrate our oh well. I'm okay. 5.6 million till bank, and I will get those back. Good to get a little breather for a sec, anyway. Welcome forward to banking. Welcome forward to level. And yeah. I'm gonna be using a little bit to... Not till I use them all. And I will use them all. By the end of this, believe it or not. Because every... yeah. Every 100 kills is 25 million. And 25 million is 6 levels. So I'll need to re-up this thing. Alright, 5 million till bank. Yeah, this has been a weird journey. I'm glad there are people. Hey, welcome aboard. Lectures. Level and the next section. $5 million till bank. God, I didn't take an edible. What is this stone cold sober for 4.5 hours, then a dinner break, and then I came back and did it? Oh shit. What is wrong with my brain? That's horrible. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to, not use substances. Hooray, delicious regular candy. Ah, so very normal. And thanks for coming by, you two. It's good to be witnessed. I'm doing something insane here. But it's to pay for this. This is how I'm going to make money. Until then, you guys get to watch a number of perilously high. Onside, varmint. Got the game. like to see if I can take a swig of coffee and then put it back before the load screen happens. It's not very interesting. Anyway. It's been a nice idea. My life is publishing person. I have a novel I'm turning into. So I'm in a very special stress plate. And killing these guys kind of helps with that sometimes. So I will say it's kind of a bad scene to decide to relieve your stress by exterminating entire species. Okay, wow, we're flying, actually. Yeah, I'm glad I stopped and had that different break instead of, like, let myself become a shambling cadaver. Someone will watch 8 hours of lecture I don't even know your lore. I've theorized that they're Mikolash's perception of other students. Particularly with the notion that I'm getting blood from. Because he's an eyes instead of blood guy. So I think their inebriation is meant to express his contempt for their use of blood. Is a theory I have about them. Because he's hosting the Nightmare. And I feel like there a lot more stuff is happening coming out of particularly when he's just the kind of person that would have a bat. No one says God. Paper. Just trying to cover your ass for it. No reasonable person says cause them. You can imagine her cause them. The fuck is that shit? I prefer the organ. Is what we're doing here. Getting there. 2.5 million from banking, and finding out about Ghost of Christmas yet to come. Right, we got... Yeah. 2 million mark is about here. This isn't really a notable milestone, but... I like this. I love this game. I like being on stream. I like being good at something, you definitely think I'm being bad at it. Like, sometimes it's okay to just have prowess for the sake of prowess. You just cultivate dumb talents. Boy, this has been a slog. This has been like... Killed so many users pursuing this thing. I made it to New Games +6 and 200 levels. So I've made Bloodborne as hard as I can make it. I really want to see, like, if over-leveling will actually allow you to see the Souls game, or if that's Bloodborne. I suspect it's somewhere between the two things. Because I'm finding that 99 Vigor still doesn't really last all that long with these guys. Over 1 million, and we are banking and reading some Dickens. That's where I go a little over 8. Alright. Oh wait, I read book. Books are important to me. We should read all the books. Well, no, we should read many books. Like, I think, like, Mein Kampf is probably a bad idea. The Phantom slowly, gravely, silently approached. When it came near him, Scrooge bent down upon his knee, for in the very air through which the spirit moved it seemed to scatter gloom and mystery. It was shrouded in a deep black garment, which concealed its head, its face, its form, and left nothing of it visible save one outstretched hand. But for this it would have been difficult to detach its figure from the night, and separate it from the darkness by which it was surrounded. He felt that it was tall and stately when it came beside him, and that its mysterious presence filled him with a solemn dread. He knew no more, for the spirit neither spoke nor moved. "I am in the presence of the spirit of Christmas yet to come," said Scrooge. The spirit answered not, but pointed outwards with his hand. "You are about to show me the shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us," Scrooge pursued. "Is that so, spirit?" The upper portion of the garment was contracted for an instant in its folds, as if the spirit had inclined its head. That was the only answer he received. Although well used to ghostly company by this time, Scrooge feared the silent shape so much that his legs trembled beneath him, and he found that he could hardly stand when he prepared to follow it. The spirit paused a moment, observing his condition and giving him time to recover. But Scrooge was all the worse for this. It thrilled him with a vague, uncertain horror to know that behind the dusky shroud there were ghostly eyes intensely fixed upon him, while he, though he stretched his own to the utmost, could see nothing but a spectral hand and some giant heap of black. "Ghost of the future!" he exclaimed. "I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear your company, and do it with a thankful heart. Will you speak to me?" It gave him no reply. The hand was pointed straight before them. "Lead on," said Scrooge. "Lead on. The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me." "I know. Lead on, spirit." The phantom moved away as it had come towards him. Scrooge followed in the shadow of its dress, which bore him up, he thought, and carried him along. They scarcely seemed to enter the city, for the city rather seemed to spring up about them and encompass them with its own act. But there they were, in the heart of it, on change, amongst the merchants, who worried up and down, and kicked the money in their pockets, and conversed in groups, and looked at their watches, and trifled thoughtfully with their great gold seals, and so forth, as Scrooge had seen them often. The spirit stopped beside one lot of businessmen, observing that the hand was pointed to them. Scrooge advanced to listen to their talk. "No," said a great fat man with a monstrous chin. "I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead." "When did he die?" inquired another. "Last night, I believe." Alright. I think I am going to be right back, and we will continue on with yet to come in 8 million. Let's grab the stuff we need. Alright, wow. The book is 70% completed.
Welcome. What is it? Very well. Let the echoes become your strength. Let me
9 levels to go.
Fair.
100 marks. Okay, this is fine. And to fix my sword up, and then move on. Alright. Now we take on these guys until 8 million. Okay, 8 million to go. Yeah, about 8 million to go. This is actually a little over 4 million this level. That kind of scared the shit out of me? Yes, I wonder what they're making twice in the first hour. Seems unlikely. I'm about to hit my first million on this one. I love 22 minutes of bank if I'm hoping to make full levels in my first hour. Nice. 2.9 until we are a mere 8 levels away. This is getting close. Alright. You do it, Brain. 1.2 million, and then I am a mere... That was way away. 1.2 million. At the finish line, and that gives you jitters. Wow. This is so close. I don't know what I get if I succeed in this. It's probably nothing. But let's I feel like all the maps. Such a manageable, small, real-ass it's crazy. almost there. Almost to Master Blood Boy. That's what they call that. I think that was Master Blood Oozes. That's what she has to count for. It's Ooze. It's Ooze Day. Ooze-ternoon. With Chuck Kloosterman. think I actually want to do a Let's Play of this and teach beginners how to play Bloodborne. I think I'd like to just, like, teach people, so I think that's good. Maybe if I started doing some Let's Plays, and so rewarding, so fun. Yeah, I could Let's Play. Co-piloting and asking questions. That sounds so neat. Like, I could Let's Play Bloodborne, like, not... Yeah, I would have not a hard time doing that. Yeah. That'd be awesome. I'll tell everyone to use the wooden shield. No, I will not. Some people make electric blue or something. That's what it is. Rabbit or electric blue sword. Yeah, I'll teach people how to be a Souls man. That'll be so fun. Could be your first Soulsman experience. Guy. Aw, I'm sorry, buddy. 5 million. Yeah, that's great. go. Better look out for over there, it's Cha! Oh, looks like we got a bad case of the Cha! Slightly over 8 million for Return to the Dream. That was nice. This is our feat of athleticism always. Christmas Carol. When did he die? Inquired another. Last night, I believe. Why, what was the matter with him? Asked a third, taking a vast quantity of snuff out of a very large snuff box. I thought he'd never die. God knows, said the first with a yawn. What has he done with his money? Asked a red-faced gentleman with a pendulous excrescence on the end of his nose that shook like the gills of a turkey cock. I haven't had, said the man with the large chin, yawning again. After his company, perhaps. He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know. This pleasantry was received with a general laugh. It's likely to be a very cheap funeral, said the same speaker. For upon my life, I don't know anybody'd go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer. I don't mind going if the lunch is provided, observed the gentleman with the excrescence on his nose. But I must be fed if I make one. Another laugh. Well, I'm most disinterested among you after all, said the first speaker, for I never wear black gloves, I never eat lunch, but I'll offer to go if anybody else will. Well, come to think of it, I'm not all sure that I wasn't his most particular friend, for we used to stop and speak whenever we met. Bye-bye. Speakers and listeners strolled away and mixed with other groups. Scrooge knew the men, and looked toward the spirit for an explanation. The phantom glided out into a street. Sorry, the phantom glided on into a street. Its finger pointed to two persons meeting. Scrooge listened again, thinking that the explanation might be here. He knew these men also, perfectly. They were men of business, very wealthy, and of great importance. He had made a point always of standing well in their esteem, in a business point of view. That is, strictly in a business point of view. How are you? Said one. How are you? Returned the other. Well, said the first. Old Scratch has got his own, at least, eh? So I'm told, returned the second. Cold, isn't it? Seasonable for Christmas time. So you are not a skater, I suppose? No, something else to think of. Good morning. Not another word. That was their meeting, their conversation, and their parting. Scrooge was at first inclined to be surprised that the spirit should attach importance to conversations apparently so trivial, but feeling assured that they must have some hidden purpose, he set himself to consider what it was likely to be. They could scarcely be supposed to have any bearing on the death of Jacob, his old partner, for that was past. And this ghost's province was the future, nor could he think of anyone immediately connected with himself to whom he could apply them, but nothing doubting that, to whomsoever they applied, they had some latent moral for his own improvement, he resolved to treasure up every word he heard and everything he saw, and especially to observe the shadow of himself when it appeared, for he had no expectation that the conduct of his future self would give him the clue he missed, and would render the solution of these riddles easy. He looked about in that very place for his own image, but another man stood in his accustomed corner, and though the clock pointed to his usual time of day for being there, he saw no likeness of himself among the multitudes that poured in through the porch. It gave him little surprise, however, for he had been resolving in his mind a change of life, and thought and hoped he saw his newborn resolutions carried out in this. Quiet and dark beside him stood the phantom with its outstretched hand. When he roused himself from his thoughtful quest, he fancied, in the turn of the hand and situation the reference to himself, that the unseen eyes were looking at him keenly. It made him shudder and feel very cold. They left the busy scene and went into an obscure part of the town, where Scrooge had never penetrated before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, The people half naked, drunken, slipshod, ugly, alleys and archways like so many cesspools discouraged their offensive smell, and dirt and life upon the straggling streets, and the whole quarter reeked with crime, with filth and misery. Far in this den of infamous resort, there was a low-browed, beetling shop below a penthouse roof, whose iron old rags, bottles, bones, and greasy offal were bought. Upon the floor within were piled up heaps of rusty keys, nails, chains, hinges, files, scales, weights, and refuse iron of all kinds. Secrets that few would like to scrutinize were bred and hidden in mountains of unseemly rage, masses of corrupted fat and sepulchres of bones. Sitting in amongst the wares he dealt in, by a charcoal stove made of old bricks, was a grey-haired rascal, nearly 70 years of age, who had screamed himself from the cold air without by a frenzy pertaining of miscellaneous taverns hung upon a line, and smoked his pipe in all the luxury of calm retirement. Scrooge and the Phantom came into the presence of this man, just as a woman with a heavy bundle slunk into the shop. But she had scarcely entered when another woman, similarly laden, came in too, and she was closely followed by a man in faded black, who was no less startled by the sight of them than they had been upon the recognition of each other. After a short period of blank astonishment in which the old man with the pipe had joined them, they all three burst into a laugh. All right.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth.
My weapon fixed. All right, and back we go. Seven levels to go. Crazy. Next two, of course, are banking at about 8.2 million. You're banking at 8 million. Oh yeah, I can feel the ooze coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. I've been on some moment all my life. Four levels. Four levels. Levels in an hour, 4 levels in an hour. Yeah. 4 levels in an hour. How many hours for 8 levels in an hour? What the fuck? We're almost to the point at which we're at 6. 2 million will get 6. experience this. Crazy to be 0.6. Lecture rooms. Yeah, lecture rooms. Some guy will walk up to me and be like, "Hello, Garrett, I'm the president of Earth College. I understand you killed your lecturers. Never had to move on or any scholarship. Official organization." To making this stupid thing happen. how I become a Master Blood Boy. That's how it feels fighting someone with idiotic reach. $5 million. Till more Scrooge. That means I'm 22 million away. $22 million. Ooh, boy. And more Scrooge. It's such a beautiful book. Just... be a good thing for That's a Christmas Carol. A few stories more meaningful than that. protagonist of Kurosawa's Ikiru. It's one of the best Japanese films I've ever seen. The protagonist of Ikiru is a local finds out he's dying of stomach cancer. So how he lives his last days. First watch the day I found out I had cancer. Double stage 4 lung cancer. You don't really understand when your mother dies of cancer. This is a character. For the psychic and ethical heroes. The psychic hero needs to know what he is and what he does. The ethical hero needs to know what he must do. Scrooge. Let the charwoman alone, let the charwoman alone to be the first, cried Hugh, who entered first. Let the laundress alone be the second, and let the undertaker man alone be the third. Look here, old Joe, here's a chance, if we haven't all three met here without meaning it. We couldn't have met in a better plight, said old Joe, removing his pipe from his mouth. Come into the parlor. You were made free of it long ago, you know. And the other two ain't strangers. Stop shop till I shut the door of the shop off. Aha! How it scrapes. There ain't such a rusty bit of metal in the place as its own hinges. I believe, and I'm sure there's no such old bones here as mine. We're all suitable to our calling. We're well matched. Come into the parlor. Come into the parlor. The parlor was the space behind the screen of rags. The old man raked the fire together with an old stair rod, and having trimmed his smoky lamp, for it was night, with the stem of his pipe put it into his mouth again. While he did this, the woman who had already spoken threw her bundle on the floor and sat down in a flaunting manner on a stool, crossing her elbows on her knees and looking with a bold defiance at the other two. What odds, then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did. That's true indeed, said the laundress. No man more so. Well then don't stand around staring as if you were afraid, mother. Who's the wiser? We're not going to put holes in each other's coats, I suppose. No, indeed, said Mrs. Dilber and the man together. We should hope not. Very well then, cried the woman. That's enough. Who's the worse for loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose. No, indeed, said Mrs. Dilber, laughing. If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, wicked old screw, pursued the woman. Why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying gasping out his last there, alone by himself. It's the truest word that ever was spoke, said Mrs. Dilber. It's a judgment on him. I wish it were a little bit heavier judgment, cried the woman, and it should have been, you may depend on it. If I could have laid my hands on anything else, open that bundle, old Joe, and let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor afraid for them to see it. We knew pretty well that we were helping ourselves before we met here, I believe. It's no sin. Open the bundle, Joe. But the gallantry of her friends would not allow of this, and the man in faded black, mounting the breach first, produced his plunder. Which was not expensive. A seal or two, a pencil case, a pair of sleeve buttons, and a brooch of no great value were all. They were severally examined and praised by old Joe, who chalked the sums he was dispersed to give for each upon the wall, and added them up into a total when he found there was nothing more to come. That's your account, said Joe, and I wouldn't give another sixpence if I was to be boiled for not doing it. Who's next? Mrs. Dilber was next. Sheets and towels, a little wearing apparel, 2 old-fashioned silver teaspoons, a pair of sugar tongs, and a few boots. Her account was stated on the wall in the same manner. I always give too much to ladies. It's a weakness of mine, and that's the way I ruin myself, said old Joe. That's your account. If you asked me for another penny made in open question, I'd repent of being so liberal, knock off half a crown. And now on to my bundle, Joe, said the first woman. Joe went down on his knees for the greater convenience of opening it, and having unfastened a great many knots, dragged out a large heavy roll of some dark stuff. What do you call this? Said Joe. Bed curtains? Ah, returned the woman, laughing and leaning forward on her crossed arms. Bed curtains? You don't mean to say you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there? Said Joe. Yes, I do, replied the woman. Why not? I certainly shan't hold my hand when I can get anything in it by reaching it out. For the sake of such a man as he was, I promise you, Joe, returned the woman coldly. Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now. His blankets? Asked Joe. Whose else do you think, replied the woman. He isn't likely to take cold without 'em. Alright, yeah, I think I can, do these into more levels.
Welcome. Very well. Let me.
Time to go. Oof. My oh my. Only 3 more instances. Whew. Let's try the lecture building. That sounds cool, right? $8 million till bank. Ooh, boy, yeah. For this, we're about to hit 19 million. Actually, I need the adrenaline bump of frequently banking a soul. 2.46. 2.4, yeah. That's 2.5. I mean 2.6. Oh boy, woo. for run-throughs. Thank you again. Oh god. It's like 9:30. I started at 2 and I'm gonna take a nap. Holy shit. I think I've been 7 hours. some. Yeah, we'll read some. This reading fuels our dreams. It's good to read. I hope he didn't die anything catching, eh? Said old Joe, stopping in his work and walking up. Don't you be afraid of that, returned the woman. I ain't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about him for such things. If he did, you may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor threadbare plates. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me. What are you good wasting of it? Asked old Joe, putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure, replied the woman with a laugh. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, he isn't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming to the body. He can't look uglier than he did in that one. Scrooge listened to this dialogue in horror. As they sat grouped about in their spoil, in the scanty lights afforded by the old man's lamp, he viewed them with a detestation and disgust which could hardly have been greater, although they had been obscene demons marketing the corpse itself. Ha ha! Laughed the old woman, when old Joe, producing a flannel bag with money in it, told out their several gains upon the ground. This is the end of it, you say. He frauded everyone away from him when he was alive, to profit us when he was dead. Ha ha ha! Now that's landed on thick. Spirit, said Scrooge, shuddering from head to foot. I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. Merciful heaven, what is this? He recoiled in terror, for the scene had changed, and now he almost touched a bed, and a bare uncurtained bed, on which, beneath a ragged sheet, there lay something covered up, which, though it was dumb, announced itself in awful language. The room was very dark. Too dark to be observed with any accuracy, though. The Scruggs glanced round it in obedience to a secret impulse, anxious to know what kind of room it was. A pale light rising in the outer air fell straight upon the bed, and on it, plundered and bereft, unwatched, unswept, uncared for, was the body of this man. Scrooge glanced toward the phantom. Its steady hand was pointed to the bed. The cover was so carelessly adjusted that the slightest raising of it, the motion of a finger upon Scrooge's part, would have disclosed the face. He thought of it, felt how easy it would be to do, and longed to do it, but had no more power to withdraw the veil than to dismiss the spectre at his side. O cold, cold, rigid, dreadful death, set up thine altar here, and dress it with such terrors as thou canst at thy command, for this is thy dominion. But of the loved, revered, and honoured head thou canst not turn one hair to thy dread purpose, or make one feature odious. It is not that the hand is heavy and will fall down unreleased. It is not that heart and pulse are still, but that the hand was open, generous, and true, the heart brave, warm, and tender, and the pulse a man's. Strike, Shadow, strike, and see his good deeds springing from the wound, to sow the world with life immortal. No voice pronounced these words in Scrooge's ears, and yet he heard them when he looked upon the bed. He thought, if this man could be raised up now, what would be his foremost thoughts? Avarice, hard dealing, griping cares? They have brought him to a rich end, truly. He lay in the dark, empty house, with not a man, a woman, or a child to say he was kind to me in this or that, and for the memory of one kind word I will be kind to him. The cat was tearing at the door, and there that person to me, spirit. And there was a sound of gnawing rats beneath the hearthstone. What they wanted in the rooms of death, and why they were so restless and disturbed, Scrooge did not dare to think. Spirit, this is a fearful place. In leaving it, I shall not leave its lesson. Trust me, let us go. Still the ghost pointed with an unmoved finger to the head. I understand you, Scrooge returned, and I would do it if I could, but I have not the power, Spirit, I have not the power. Again it seemed to look upon him. If there is any person in the town who feels emotions ceased caused by this man's death, said Scrooge, quite agonized, show that person to me, Spirit, I beseech you. The phantom spread its dark robe before him for a moment, like a wing, and withdrawing it revealed a room by daylight where her mother and her children were. She was expecting someone, and with anxious eagerness, for she walked up and down the room, started at every sound, looked out from the window, glanced at the clock, tried, but in vain, to work with her needle, and could hardly bear the voices of her children in their play. At length the long-expected knock was heard. She hurried to the door and met her husband, a man whose face was careworn and depressed, though he was young. There was not a remarkable expression in it now, a kind of serious delight of which he felt ashamed, and of which he struggled to repress. He sat down to the dinner that had been hoarding for him by the fire, and when she asked him faintly what news, which was not until after a long silence, he appeared embarrassed how to answer. Is it good, she said, or bad? To help him. Bad, he answered. We are quite ruined? No, there is hope yet, Caroline. If he relents, she said. There is. Nothing is past hope. Such a miracle has happened. He is past relenting, said her husband. He is dead. She was a mild and patient creature, if her face spoke truth. But she was thankful in her soul to hear it, and she said so with clasped hands. She prayed forgiveness the next moment, and was sorry, but the first was the emotion of her heart. What the half-drunken woman whom I told you of last night said to me when I tried to see him and obtain a week's delay, and what I thought was mere excuse to avoid me, turns out to have been quite true. He was not only very ill, but dying then. To whom will our debt be transferred? I don't know, but before that time we shall be ready with the money, and even though we were not, it would be bad fortune indeed to find so merciless a creditor as in his successor. We may sleep tonight with light hearts, Caroline. Yes, soften it as they would, their hearts were lighter. The children's faces, hushed and clustered round to hear what they so little understood, were brighter, and it was a happier house with this man's death. The only emotion the ghost could show him, caused by the event, was one of pleasure. Let me see some tenderness connected with the death. Or that dark chamber, Spirit, which we left just now, will be forever present to me. The ghost conducted him through several streets, familiar to his feet, and as they went along, Scrooge looked here and there to find himself, but nowhere was he to be seen. They entered poor Rob Cratchit's house, the dwelling he had visited before, and found the mother and children seated around the fire. All right. Do that one after level 4.
Welcome. What? Very well.
Now 4 away. There's 16 million echoes from being maxed out. You can do 16 million echoes in an hour. Anyway, I will do 4 million before I bank next. Then it will be 8. And the last 4. That needs compassion. this one does seem to go on a bit. Been enjoying this. Thank you whoever came along. And thank you to anyone who watches this VOD. This is a thing that will do something cool for me. And a pretty people want to I'd be really happy about that. Like, I kind of want to get, like, more experimental shit. Maybe to the point of being a failed experiment sometimes. You know what the point is? It's crazy. Scrooge find out. Yeah, we're almost there. Shit. Gonna happen. We're doing it. This is gonna happen. Gun 3. interesting. And yet no one else. How people would evaluate this. Yeah, cool. Yeah, now read a little more Scrooge. Quiet, 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 very quiet. The noisy little Pratchett's were as still as statues in one corner, and not looking up at Peter, who had a book before him. The mother and her daughters were engaged in sewing, but surely they were very quiet. And he took a child and set him in the midst of them. Where had Scrooge heard those words? He had not dreamed them. The boy must have read them out, as she and the spirit crossed the threshold. Why did he not go on? The mother laid her work on the table, and put her hand up to her face. The color hurts my eyes, she said. The colors. The color? Ah, poor Tiny Tim. They're better now again, said Cratchit's wife. It makes them weak by candlelight. And I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home, or the world. It must be near his time. Past it, rather, Peter answered, shutting up his book. But I think he has walked a little slower than he used these past few evenings, Mother. They were very quiet again. At last she said, in a steady, cheerful voice, but only faltered once, I have known him walk with. I have known him walk with. Known him walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder, very fast indeed. And so have I, cried Peter. Others. And so have I, screamed another. So had all. But he was very light to carry, she resumed, intent upon her work, and his father loved him so, and that was no trouble, no trouble. And there's your father at the door. She hurried not to meet him, little Bob and his comforter. He had need of it, poor fellow, came in. His tea was ready for him on the hob, and they all tried who should help him do it most. Then the young Cratchits got upon his knees, and laid each child a little cheek against his face, as if they said, Don't mind it, father, don't be grieved. Bob was very cheerful with them, and spoke pleasantly to all the family, who looked upon the work upon the table, and praised the industry and speed of Mrs. Cratchit and the girls. They would be done long before sundown day, he said. Sunday? You went today then, Robert, said his wife. Yes, my dear. I wish we could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it often. I promised him that I would walk there on a Sunday, my little child. Cried Bob, my little child. He broke down all at once. He couldn't help it. If he could have helped it, he and his child would have been farther apart perhaps than they were. He left the room and went upstairs into the room above, which was lighted cheerfully and hung with Christmas. There was a chair set close beside the child, and there were signs of someone having been there lately. Poor Bob sat down in it, and when he had thought a little and composed himself, he kissed the little face. He was reconciled to what had happened, and went down again quite happy. They drew about the fire and talked, the girls and mother working still. Bob told them of the extraordinary kindness of Mr. Scrooge's nephew, whom he had scarcely seen but once, and who, meeting him in the street that day, and seeing that he looked just a little down, you know, said Bob, inquired what had happened to distress him. On which, said Bob, for he is the pleasantest spoken gentleman you ever heard, I told him I am heartily sorry for it. Mr. Cratchit, he said, and heartily sorry for your good wife, by the by. How he ever knew that, I don't know. But what, my dear? Why, that you were a good wife. Everybody knows that, said Peter. Well observed, my boy, cried Bob. I hope they do. Heartily sorry, he said, for your good wife. If I can be of your service to you in any way, he said, giving me his card, that's where I live. Pray come to me. Now, it wasn't, cried Bob, for the sake of anything he might be able to do for us, as much for his kind way, that this was quite delightful. It really seemed so as if he had known our Tiny Tim and felt with us. I'm sure he's a good soul, said Mrs. Cratchit. You would be sure of it, my dear, returned Bob, if you saw and spoke to him. I shouldn't be at all surprised, mark what I say, if he got Peter a better situation. I only hear that, Peter, said Mrs. Cratchit. Then, godmother girls, Peter will be keeping company with someone and setting up for himself. Get along with you, retorted Peter, grinning. It's just as likely as not. But one of these days, though, there's plenty of time for that, my dear. But however, and whenever we part from one another, I'm sure we shall none of us forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we, or this first parting that there was among us. Never, father, said they. And I know, my dears, that when we recollect how patient and how mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves and forget poor Tiny Tim in doing it. No, never, father, they all cried again. I am very happy, said little Bob. I am very happy. Mrs. Cratchit kissed him, his daughters kissed him, the two young Cratchits kissed him, and Peter and himself shook hands. The spirit of Tiny Tim, that child in essence, was from God. Spectre, said Scrooge, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. I know it, but I know not. Tell me what man that was whom we saw lying dead. All right. 3 more sections to go.
Welcome. Very well. Let me.
36. Right. There's no point of physical defense. More blood too.
Farewell, good hunter.
Now I fix this up. Fixed. Alright. And then another 4 million. We hear from Scrooge again. Isn't that cool? Getting this close? 4 million. That's wonderful. Well, we down to 8. Man, I've done 8 million in like half an hour, I think. Or something. For no reason. Die for no reason for me. Die for no reason for me. Alright. About to hit 4 million. Wait, no. We're not about to hit 4 million. First million's gonna happen soon. Yes. First million. That from there, it's only 3 million. And then after that, another 8. So we're not in bad shape altogether. I may have ended up streaming 8 hours by the end of this. I think. Alright. We're at the 10.5 million mark. The amount of echoes that I need to... the amount of echoes I have done this Oh boy, the actions done shown in protagonism. Something. A little over 2 million. You're on the last legs of our journey. no, I'll do 2 million after this. I'm getting close. I'm getting so close. So I think that's 7. Yeah, it's like 7 goes. Yeah. Shit. This is getting real close. Christmas yet to come. Wow, I am almost done. Yep. Shit. So close. It's crazy how close we are. Okay. Just prepare shit. Read you some more story.
Very well. Let me stay.
Alright. To Scrooge. The ghost of Christmas yet to come conveyed him as before, though at a different time, he thought. Indeed, there seemed no order in these latter visions, save that they were in the future, into the resorts of businessmen, but showed him not himself. Indeed, the spirit did not stay for anything, but went straight on, as to the end, just now desired, until besought by Scrooge to tarry for a moment. "This court," said Scrooge, "through which we hurry now, is where my place of occupation is, and has been for a length of time. I see the house. Let me behold what I shall be in days to come." The spirit stopped. The hand was pointed elsewhere. "This house is yonder," Scrooge exclaimed. "Why do you point away?" The inexorable finger underwent no change. Scrooge hastened to the window of his office and looked in. It was an office still, but not his. The furniture was not the same, and the figure in the chair was not himself. The phantom pointed as before. He joined it once again, and wondering whither he had gone, accompanied it until they reached an iron gate. He paused to look around before entering. A churchyard. Here, then, the wretched man, whose name he had now to learn, lay underneath the ground, in his worthy place, walled in by houses, overrun by grass and weeds, the growth of vegetation's death, not life, choked up with too much burning, fat with repleted appetite, a worthy place. The spirit stood among the graves, and pointed down to one. He advanced towards it, trembling. The phantom was exactly as it had been, but he dreaded that he saw no meaning in its solemn shape. "Before I draw nearer to the stone to which you point," said Scrooge, "answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or are they shadows of things that may be only?" Still the ghost pointed to the grave by which it stood. "Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends, to which, if persevered in, they must lead," said Scrooge. "What if the course be departed from? The ends will change. Say it is thus with that you show me." The spirit was immovable as ever. Scrooge crept towards it, trembling as he went, and following the finger, read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. "Am I that man who lay upon the bed?" he cried upon his knees. The finger pointed from the grave to him and back again. "No, spirit, oh, no, no!" The finger still was there. "Spirit," he cried, tight clutching at its robe, "hear me. I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been. But for this intercourse, why show me this if I am past all hope?" For the first time the hand appeared to shake. "Good spirit," he pursued, as down upon the ground he fell before it, "your nature intercedes for me, and pities me. Assume that I yet may change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life." The kind hand trembled. I will honor Christmas in my heart, and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me I may sponge away the writing on this stone." In his agony, he caught the spectral hand. It sought to free itself, but he was strong in his entreaty, and detained it. The spirit, stronger yet, repulsed him. Holding up his hands in a last prayer to have his fate reversed, he saw an alteration in the phantom's living dress. It shrunk, collapsed, it dwindled down to a bedpost. Now, we move on to the last two levels.
Farewell, good
Final
hunter.
stave of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. 7. To go. 3.4 million to So now, after this, I have to spend some time only doing things that are meaningful. That's the promise I have to make to the world. Like I have like 12, maybe 13. That's cool. And then we move on to our last bank ever. Then no more ooze farming in Straight. Never again. Except when I demonstrate to people how to ooze farm. Or if I run out of bullets. Six. 6. I think I get 1 million about every 5 minutes. I'm trying. Oh boy. This is crazy. I'm getting there. Right. Then we are in our last. Final level. Trips. Oh man, this is crazy. I can be like maybe an hour away, probably. This is the weirdest audiobook of A Christmas Carol ever recorded. How this has been realizing that the main priority in his life was something that wasn't even making him happy. That he couldn't even use it. Like they want to make more money. The thing that they're gonna get for that money is so like big, it is so distant and nebulous. There's not any real purchases they want to make other than buying companies and people. What matters in your art? What makes you feel like keeping on? Yes, and the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own. The room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own. To make amends in, I will live in the past, the present, and the future. Scrooge repeated as he scrambled out of bed. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and the Christmas tree and the Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, oh Jacob, on my knees. He was so fluttered and so glowing with his good intentions that his broken voice could scarcely answer to his call. He had been sobbing violently in his conflict with the spirit, and his face was wet with tears. "They are not torn down!" cried Scrooge, folding one of his bed curtains in his arms. "They are not torn down, rings and all. They are here, I am here, the shadows of the things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be, I know they will." His hands were busy with his garments all this time, turning them inside out, putting them on upside down, tearing them, mislaying them, making them parties to every kind of extravagance. "I don't know what to do," cried Scrooge, laughing and crying in the same breath, and making a perfect Laocoon of himself with his stockings. "I am so light as a feather. I am happy as an angel. I am as merry as a schoolboy. I am giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everyone. A Happy New Year to all the world. Hello here. Whoopee hello." He had frisked into the sitting room and was now standing there, perfectly winded. "There's the saucepan that the gruel was in!" cried Scrooge, starting off again and going round the first place. "There's the door by which the ghost of Jacob Marley entered! There's the corner where the ghost of Christmas past sat! That's the window where I saw the wandering spirits! It's all right! It's all true! It all happened! Ha ha ha!" Really, for a man who had been out of practice for so many years, it was a splendid laugh, a most illustrious laugh, the father of a long line of brilliant laughs. "I don't know what day of the month it is," said Scrooge. "I don't know how long I have been among the spirits. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. Never mind. I don't care. I'd rather be a baby. Oh, hallelujah!" He was checked in his transports by the churches ringing out the lustiest peals he had ever heard. Clash, clash, hammer, ding, ding, dong, bell, ding, dong. Hammer, clang, clash, oh glorious, glorious. Running to the window, he opened it, put out his head. No fog, no mist, clear, bright, jovial, stirring, cold, cold, piping for the blood to dance to, golden non-light, heavenly sky, sweet fresh air. Merry hello, oh glorious, glorious. "What's today?" cried Scrooge, falling downward to a boy in Sunday clothes, who perhaps had loitered to look about him. "Eh?" returned the boy with all his might of wonder. "What's today, my fine fellow?" said Scrooge. "Today," replied the boy. "What Christmas Day?" "It's Christmas Day," said Scrooge to himself. "I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow." "Hello," returned the boy. "Do you know the poulterers in the next street?" "But one at the corner?" "I almost hope I did," replied the lad. "An intelligent boy," said Scrooge. "A remarkable boy. Do you know whether they sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there?" "Not the little prize turkey, the big one." "Or the one as big as me?" returned the boy. "What a delightful boy," said Scrooge. "It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck." "It's hanging there right now," replied the boy. "Is it?" said Scrooge. "Go and buy it." "Walker." "No, no," said Scrooge. "I am in earnest. Go and buy it, and tell them to bring it here, that I may give them the directions where to take it. Come back with the man, I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown." The boy was off like a shot. He must have had a steady hand and a trigger who could have got shot off half so fast. All right.
Well, what is it? Very well, let me...
Then maximum level. The end of A Christmas Carol. So we are 3.8 million. I mean, we are 4 million away from being a master hunter. Show will be over. 8 million. 3.8, yeah. Nope, 3.8 million. Crazy. Alright. Step 5. which it might. Yeah, it might go to 4.4. Shit, we're getting there. We're under 10, I think. That is 6 we're counting down from now. 830,000. Slow down. I'll send it to Bob Brackets, whispered Scrooge, rubbing his hands and spitting with a laugh and splitting with a laugh. He shan't know who sends it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Joe Miller never made such a joke as sending it to Bob's will be, as sending it to Bob's will be. The hand in which he wrote the address was not a steady one, but write it he did, somehow, and went downstairs to open the street door, ready for the coming of the poulterer's man. As he stood there, waiting his arrival, the knocker caught his eye. I shall love it as long as I live, cried Scrooge, patting it with his hand. I scarce even ever looked at it before. What an honest expression it has in its face. It's a wonderful knocker. Here's the turkey, hallo. Whoop, how are you? Merry Christmas. It was a turkey. He never could have stood upon his legs, that bird. He never could have stood upon his legs, that bird. He would have snapped them short off in a minute, like sticks of sealing wax. Why, it's impossible to carry that to Camden Town, said Scrooge. You must have a cab. The chuckle with which he said this, and the chuckle with which he paid for the turkey, and the chuckle with which he paid for the cab, and the chuckle with which he recompensed the boy, were only to be exceeded by the chuckle with which he sat down breathless in his chair again and chuckled till he cried. Shaving was not an easy task, for his hand continued to shake very much, and shaving requires attention, even when you don't dance while you are at it. But if he had cut the end of his nose off, he could have put a piece of sticking plaster over it and been quite satisfied. He dressed himself all in his best, and at last got out into the streets. The people were by this time pouring forth as he had seen them, with the ghost of Christmas present, and walking with his hands behind him. Scrooge regarded everyone with a delighted smile. He looked so irresistibly pleasant. In a word, that three or four good-humoured fellows said, "Good morning, sir, a Merry Christmas to you." And Scrooge said often afterwards that of all the blithe sounds he had ever heard, those were the blithest to his ears. He had not gone far, when coming on towards him, we beheld the portly gentleman who had walked into his counting-house the day before, and said, "Scrooge and Marley's, I believe." It sent a pang across his heart to think how this old gentleman would look upon him when they met, but he knew what path lay straight before him, and he took it. "My dear sir," said Scrooge, quickening his pace, and taking the old gentleman by both his hands, "how do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It was very kind of you. A merry little Christmas to you." "Mr. Scrooge?" "Yes," said Scrooge, "that is my name, and I fear it may not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon, and will you know the goodness—" Here Scrooge whispered in his ear. "Lord bless me," said the gentleman, as if his breath were taken away. "My dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?" If you please, said Scrooge, not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favour? My dear sir, said the other, shaking hands with him, I don't know what to say to such... Don't say anything, please, retorted Scrooge. Come and see me, will you come and see me? I will, cried the old gentleman. It was clear he meant to do it. Thanks, said Scrooge. I am much obliged to you. I thank you 50 times, bless you. He went to church and walked about the streets, and watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted the children on the head, and questioned beggars, and looked down into the kitchens of houses and up to the windows, and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that that anything could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon he turned his steps toward his nephew's house. He passed the door a dozen times before he had the courage to go up and knock, but he made a dash and did it. Is your master at home, my dear? Said Scrooge to the girl. Nice girl, very. Yes, sir. Where is he, my love? Said Scrooge. He's in the dining room, sir, along with the mistress. I'll show you upstairs, if you please. Thanks, he knows me, said Scrooge, with his hand already on the dining room lock. I'll go in here, my dear. He turned it gently, and sidled his face in round the door. They were looking at the table, which was spread out in great array, for these young housekeepers are always nervous on such points, and like to see that everything is right. Fred, said Scrooge. Dear heart alive, how his niece by marriage started. Scrooge had forgotten, for the moment, about her sitting in the corner with the footstool, or he wouldn't have done it on any account. Why, bless my soul, cried Fred. Who's that? It is I, your Uncle Scrooge. I have come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred? Let him in? It is a mercy he didn't shake his arm off. He was at home in 5 minutes. Nothing could be heartier. His niece looked just the same. So did Topper when he came. So did the plump sister when she came. So did everyone when they came. Wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful unanimity, wonderful happiness. But he was early at the office next morning. Oh, he was early there. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late. That was the thing he had set his heart upon. And he did it. Yes, he did. The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1/4 past. No Bob. He was full 18 minutes and a half behind his time. Scrooge sat with his door wide open, that he might come into the tank. Might see him come into the tank. His hat was off before he opened the door. His comforter, too. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen, as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock. Hello! Growled Scrooge's accustomed voice, as near as he could feign it. What do you mean by coming here at this time of day? Oh, I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time. You are? Repeated Scrooge. Yes, I think you are. Step this way, if you please. It's only a year, sir, pleaded Bob, appearing from the tank. Oh, it shall not be repeated. It's only once a year, sir, pleaded Bob again from the tank. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir. Now I'll tell you what, my friend, said Scrooge. I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer, and therefore, he continued, leaping from his stool, and giving Bob such a dig in the waistcoat that he staggered back into the tank again, and therefore I am about to raise your salary. Bob trembled and got a little nearer to the ruler. He had a momentary idea of knocking Scrooge down with it, holding him, and calling to the people in the court for help and a straight waistcoat. A Merry Christmas, Bob, said Scrooge with an earnestness that could not be mistaken as he clapped him on the back. A merrier Christmas, Bob, my good fellow, than I have given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavour to assist your struggling family, and we will discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop. Bob, make up the fires and buy another coon scuttle before you do another. Bob Cratchit. Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more, and to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good at which some people did not have their fill of laughter in the outset, and knowing that such as these would be blind anyway, he thought it quite as well that they should wrinkle up their eyes in grins, as have the malady in less attractive forms. His own heart laughed, but that was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards, and it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, every one.
Welcome. What is it? Very well. Let me. Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
And Sunday, and Christmas, and Christmas Day, this character returns to Yarnum at level 5, to start at level 544. Thank you for watching. May you find your worth in the waking world.